Glass Guy Jewelry, and today I'm going to show you how you can clean your sterling silver jewelry at home with some supplies that you probably already have. So if you like wearing sterling silver jewelry like I do, you know that over time it tarnishes. The tarnish isn't a defect, it's not a sign of poor quality, it's just a really natural reaction that's happening on the surface of your metal when it's exposed to oxygen and moisture. I personally like a little bit of tarnish on my jewelry. I think that it can add some depth, some like highlights and shadows and dimension. And then I also think it's just kind of a sign that it's living a life well lived. It's loved, it's out and about in the world. It happens. I like that. But the good news is, because it's on the surface, it can be removed. So if it gets to be too much, or you just want to give your jewelry like a nice refresh, you can clean it off. So a really easy way to do this is to use something like this, which is a polishing pad. I get these out with purchases from Glass Guy Jewelry. You can also use polishing cloth, which I also have available for purchase on my website. So these are just a quick, easy way to rub down the surface of your jewelry and remove that oxidation. Sometimes though, something like a delicate chain or something that has a lot of surfaces and corners, maybe like a thread or ear, something small, it can be tricky to get this down into all the grooves and really clean it out. So today I'm going to show you a really great way to give your jewelry basically a bath and just like a really great refresh. So for this, you're going to need 5 things. You need aluminum foil, you need baking soda. Because we're going to give your jewelry a bath, you need something to build the bath in. So I'm using a takeout container for this. You want this to be plastic or glass. There's going to be a really cool reaction that happens with the foil and the jewelry. So if your container is metal, it might add another metal element that would affect that reaction. So for this, plastic or glass is best. And then because we're going to make a bath, we need some water. This needs to be really hot. Boiling is kind of best here. So I'm going to microwave this down here in the studio, but if you're at home, it's really easy to throw a pot of water on the stove, or start a tea kettle, but basically just hot water, hot boiling water is best here. And then the last thing you're going to need is just a utensil to help you fish your jewelry out of your bath. So because we're building this bath with boiling water, you obviously don't want to be sticking your hand in there to grab your jewelry out. So this is just a way to get your jewelry out of there. I'm going to use a plastic fork, but you could use a different thing, chopsticks, something like that. But again, you don't want it to be metal just so it doesn't interfere with the process. So you gather up your 5 things, you can get started. I'm going to change the camera angle so you can kind of watch down while I build the bath and see it. But yeah, let's get started. Alright, so I've got my water boiled and we're ready to get started. The first thing that we're going to do is line our bath with aluminum foil. And when we put this in, we want the shiny side to be up. And then the next thing that we'll do is put our jewelry into the bath. So when you put the jewelry in, you want it to be touching the aluminum foil. There's a pretty cool reaction that's going to happen where basically that oxidation that's on your jewelry will jump onto the aluminum foil. So you want them to be touching and not really overlapping too much. So I'm just going to put in those earrings. I also have this pair of hoops, and I'm just going to put one in so we can kind of compare them, hopefully. I'm going to put in this necklace. You can see it's not super tarnished, but it's definitely dull, and it's got that kind of yellow finish starting on it. So we'll put that in. And then the last thing that I'm going to put in, just space-wise, is this necklace. This one is very tarnished, so I don't expect this to clean up as nicely right away, but we could always do it, like give it a second one or just see how it comes out, and maybe it'll look fine, still have some highs and lows on there. So we're gonna get those guys in there. Cool. And then the next thing that we're gonna do is add our baking soda. So this is just gonna get sprinkled over. It doesn't have to completely cover your jewelry, but kind of a good coating in there. All right, just gonna move that guy so they're not overlapping anymore. Cool. And now I'm gonna pour the boiling water on top of here. What you're gonna see is a lot of bubbles, a pretty strong reaction with the baking soda and the hot water. Cool. So I don't know if you can see this from the video, but there are little bubbles still coming up to the surface, and they're actually, yeah, that's not too hot. The bubbles are actually forming on the surface of the jewelry, and that just lets us know that this process is working, that it's doing its job, it's getting that oxidation off of the surface of the jewelry. So I'm gonna let it sit in there for a little bit. Depending on how tarnished it is, you can leave it in here kind of until the water cools, until it starts to look shiny. You can sort of let it do its thing in there. If you wanted to kind of play with it a little bit, you can always add a little more baking soda, kind of amps up the reaction in there. One thing to think about is if you are gonna do the process again to more jewelry, you just wanna use a new piece of aluminum foil, because right now those tarnish molecules are going onto the foil. So a new fresh piece of foil will help as you redo it. Okay, so I'm gonna come in here with my fork. See how things are looking. Oh wow, yeah. So this one definitely has a nicer shine to it already. It's still a little oxidized though. I'm gonna stick it back in. Okay, this is pretty impressive, I think. So when you do take your jewelry out, one thing to think about is that the metal will conduct heat, so probably won't be too hot, but just, you know, be careful. So you can see side by side, this is that one we just cleaned, this is the one that it looked like before. Pretty crazy. So once you take it out, it will have some baking soda on it still, so just rinse it off. But then yeah, you're good to go with your nice clean jewelry. I'm gonna let those ones sit in there a little bit longer and clean up. Actually, you know what? This is looking really good. I wanna show you this too. That is looking so much cleaner than when it went in. The chain is a little bit cleaner, but could use some more time in there, but it's definitely getting cleaned up. So I'm gonna let those sit in there a little bit more, but that's the end of the demo. So if you try this, let me know how it goes. Yeah, I wanna hear how it goes for you at home. And I hope you're doing well. Bye. So I just finished taking the pieces out of there, and I wanted to show you real quickly how murky the water gets. You can really see that it's working because of how the water ends up looking in there. But again, I just wanted to show you, so side by side, this is that one that we cleaned up in there. This is what the pair looked like beforehand. And then these little guys, I just pulled them out and rinsed them off, and they are like new, nice and shiny. And then this star necklace also really shined up nicely. It was like really dull before and starting to look kind of yellow, but it is nice and bright silver now too. And then this one definitely did shine up. It is still a little tarnished in the chain and down kind of in the grooves where it was really tarnished before, but it's a lot shinier than it was before. So I think if I did it again on this one, we could get it really nice and shiny too. So just wanted to show you that real quick. All right, bye.